Hi, my name's Benedetto, Ben for short. This is the third in a series of videos that I'm doing on my battle against organised crime and how they are attempting to steal my home, make me homeless, and then murder me. Because I've been speaking out against them and because I just don't want to work for them. The last video finished with the issue of internet connection and our lack of one for 3 years. We were initially with Telstra, and even though I phoned almost every week to see if there was any way of rectifying the problem, the MAFIA had said that I was not allowed to have connection to the net. Don't know why. I'm sure it's just their fear. But so that was only rectified when I changed from Telstra to Optus and then paid an exorbitant amount of money for a cable internet connection. During that time I was looking for work. I looked and applied for hundreds, if not thousands, of engineering positions right throughout Melbourne and Victoria. There was no suitable job for me, even though I'd just come out of university and had a master's degree in seismic engineering. So I did finally find work, but it was at a sheet metal firm in Bayswater that was a family owned. I didn't know what it meant then, but I do now. They were okay. It was okay, but it was a very mind-numbing work. And after 5 months of being there, the only way to get through the day was to only just focus on how much work I could do in one day. And that was why when I left, we were 6 months ahead of the scheduled work for the factory. So I'm pretty sure some of them were, if not happy, were glad to see me go, because the work that I was getting out was good. It was great. It was a lot. But I had to leave. It was just too mind numbing. And after doing I think the average number of jobs that they did in one day was 3, and I was doing like 8 or 9. But enough of that. So I left there and went back and did some more work on my master's degree, but I'd lost focus. There was no way I was going to work as an engineer. So the goal that I was going to be able to use the knowledge I gained from the masters in my professional career was out the window. I even went to the extent of saying that I didn't know how the walls and the floor slabs were connected in my thesis, which is absolutely absurd. But at the time, I just, as I said, lost focus. So I finished and submitted the thesis in March 2005, and at that time I was going to sit GAMSAT 2 weeks after submitting. I had, back in my early 20s, I had gone to Europe for a wedding, family wedding, and had gone to Cambridge University to sit what they call 6-step exams, which I sat and did really well at. I was accepted into the university, but there was one provision in the university handbook, was that you're required to have the first year's tuition as well as living expenses before you actually enrol, which turned out to be about $44,000 Australian, which doesn't seem much nowadays, but back in 1981-82 it was quite a lot of money. That was about 22,000 British pounds. I left Europe. I stopped off at Greece for about a week, enjoyed their hospitality as well as their beaches. But when I got back to Australia, I sold my car, an SS hatchback, and started working 2 jobs. One was as a salesman. The second one was as a bar keep, I suppose you would call it, someone who cleared glasses and plates at functions as well as during the night. And that was a couple of days a week in a bar restaurant in Richmond on Church Street. But even by the time it was like 3/4 of the year had gone, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get all the money together. Look, I'd made a good start and I was saving as much as I could, but there was just no way I was going to get the 44,000. So I did a 180 and started engineering instead. But to get back, I after submitting the thesis in early March 2006, 2005, I'm sorry, I had 2 weeks before GAMSAT, so I studied for the 2 weeks and sat the GAMSAT at Monash University. I didn't do great, but it was only 2 weeks worth of work, and GAMSAT might require a bit more work than just 2 weeks, and I got a 55. So I wasn't happy with the mark, and but I was morale boosted because I only had 2 weeks worth of work of study. So I decided I was going to sit GAMSAT 2006 and allow myself enough time to study properly for the GAMSAT. I continued looking for work, and I looked high and low. I was looking for any job at that time, but again, there was no work available for someone who didn't want to work for the mob. I was living on the pittance that the government was giving out in the Centrelink payments, which it wasn't much at all. I don't know. I can't remember how much. I think it was $350 a fortnight or something. It was ridiculous. But I started studying first week of November, and so they gave me about 5 months of study because the GAMSAT was on the 21st or the 23rd of March 2006. Studied right throughout summer. It wasn't too much of a hot summer, but it was sufficient that I remember the heat. Got to the day of the exams. Mum and I didn't leave Mum alone, and she didn't leave me alone. So we went to Caulfield Racecourse and had the first exam and was talking to some people I'd met there who were mature age students as well. And one of them, a guy who had been working at hospitals in the city, had said, matter of fact, that a majority of the people doing the GAMSAT that day there had the exams for at least 2 weeks prior to sitting. So they'd had all that time to prepare and get all the answers right, which was morale sapping for me, because that meant that whatever I did, there was no way I was going to be able to top them, because GAMSAT is supposed to be an exam that you're not supposed to do so great on, but if you do, then you are above the rest, because GAMSAT is a standardised exam where they have to fail a certain percentage of the people that are sitting it, and the people that do so well are up in the high percentiles, the 91, the 93 percentiles, 95, 97, 99. And they push the pass mark up and push your marks down, because it's like a skewed bell curve to the right. So I even went and I continued sitting the exams. I didn't stop, and so went through the other 2 exams and left that day going to catch up with the other people. But after I got the marks, I wasn't ever going to sit GAMSAT again. The marks came, I opened it, and I got the same result as I did the first time. So then I knew that the mob had something to do with it again. The mob tend to target people that they can't control or are able to speak out against, or do speak out against them. They want to be a shadow organisation where they do and get things by threats and intimidation without any sort of repercussions. So when I opened the envelope for the GAMSAT and saw the mark, it just set my mind that I was not going to sit GAMSAT again in Australia. Going through 2006, I had some information. A friend of mine was good enough to say that I probably would get a better, more honest GAMSAT score if I went overseas and sat it, and I would probably be able to gain a scholarship over there as well. So that's going to be the topic of my next video. Thanks again. Bye.